Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm Kate. I'm the head of user support and the meteorologist from Windy.app, and I'm very happy to welcome you to this webinar. Can you tell me that you can hear and see me well? Yes, very good. Perfect. So, good. Then we can proceed. So we haven't had a webinar in a while, and now we're back with a new format. And today I want to talk to you about severe weather, about strong wind, gusts, and heavy rains. How you can use Windy.app to help you anticipate severe weather. Though it will be a slightly different format, we're trying to make it shorter. We're also blending the news with the content together. And also, we plan to give away some merch for those of you who are quick to answer some tricky weather questions. And there will be a gift from our meteorologists announced later in the webinar. Can you tell me where you guys are from? What do you do? Just so I know who is here with me today. Okay, perfect. USA. Good morning to those in USA. London, Portugal, San Francisco, Germany. Wait, and what do you, let me know what you guys do. Do you sail? Do you kite? I'm always interested to know. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a little bit about our plan for today. Now, I decided to divide all the tools to track severe weather into 3 categories. The first one is what I call low effort tools. You have to just set it up once and then it's going to continue working with no effort on your side. Then there is something I call the mid-level tools in terms of effort. Those are radars and weather stations. You have to know a bit more about them to use them, but they're not rocket science, and they are limited to checking the weather for going out today, so adjusting your plans. Then we're going to dive into some advanced tools, the compare chart and the weather map. I have mentioned them in other webinars, but this would be a good refresher or just an explanation for those of you who are not familiar yet. And then we're going to move on to the bonus tips. I'm going to introduce our weather personal advisor service, which is like a concierge service, but with a meteorologist. You can text with a meteorologist via WhatsApp. I think it's a really powerful and really low effort tool for the upcoming season. Then I'm going to tell you how I would use the weather archive to foresee severe weather events. And then I will present to you the guide for May and June for weather events all around the world from our meteorologists. And then there will be time for a Q&A. Okay? I'm going to check the chat to see what you wrote to me. Okay. And I see that my team has okayed my position in this little circle. Good. So we can move on. Now, just a few things before we dive right in. I wanted to tell you how our merch giveaway will work today. So we have prepared 2 questions for you. They will be marked by this little red rucksack sign. And then when it comes up, there will be a question. And those of you who, the first 2 people who answered correctly in the chat will be very welcome to contact our user support so that we can arrange for you to receive this merch. This is what we're offering. People from Windy.app team are already using this stuff and they love it. So I didn't get mine yet, but I'm sure it's really cool. So this is what it's in store for you today. So be aware of the red rucksack sign. What else? So I will be mentioning some pro features today. So if you are not a pro user, you can follow this QR code or follow the link in the description and get 14 days for free. No commitment, so nothing is going to happen after the 14 days are up. And you might want to go ahead and do it right now if you want to follow along the webinar. And of course, I have to say that we have other webinars and lots of materials in our social media, on Instagram and on YouTube. So please like, share, and subscribe. You know the drill. Now, we're moving on to the low effort tools. I will not be speaking too much about it, but I do want to highlight some things. So first of all is wind alerts. You set them up once and then they run forever until you turn them off. So you have to set up the wind speed, the wind direction, and the preferred time window for the wind you are expecting, and then it's going to check the forecast every time the forecast is updated, and to see if there's a match. And then you'll get a push notification saying this date, this time, this wind is coming. And one tip from me is before you set up an alert for a certain spot, I encourage you to look at the mini map. So this thing at the top, I guess it's here, at the top of the spot forecast, because it shows you what the spot is like, what's the orientation of the coast, and basically help you choose which wind directions actually work for you, because you don't want to be notified anytime there's wind of a certain strength. You might want to be notified, for example, if there's only onshore winds, like in this example. Okay, then the weather widgets, I probably don't need to explain them to you. You just set them up for any number of spots and then they update automatically, so you know you have the most recent forecast. And when you start seeing red and yellow wind speeds in this windy bar, then you know it's time to check the full forecast. You just click on the widget and then it will open the app for that spot and the detailed forecast for it. The same goes for iOS, but they also have lock screen widgets, and you wouldn't even need to unlock your phone to see the most recent data, which I think is kind of cool. Now, do we have any Apple Watch users here? You will be happy to know that we support the Apple Watch, and we have a widget also where you can choose your weather parameter and the weather model and when you want the forecast to be displayed, the forecast for what time you want to be displayed. Now, this is a video that my colleague created with his Apple Watch, showing you around. Basically, you can change the time step from 1 hour to 3 hours. You can choose the model. You can choose the parameter. So there's wind, there's swell, there's wind and swell combined. And you can also scroll to fast forward the forecast for days ahead. Let me know if you like this. My colleagues from the user support team are in the chat right now, so your feedback, your ideas are all very welcome in the chat anytime you feel like sharing. So if you have something to say about Apple Watch, please do. Now, the Windy bar and favorites, I wanted to highlight this feature because I think it's one of the easiest way to check the wind for 10 days ahead. and it's very, very quick and very simple. So you open your spot, and then you look at this bar in between the forecast and the windrows, and then you will see colors, and you will immediately understand, for example, that the weekend will be windy or the weekend will not be windy. So, and then you can scroll to that particular date and see the details. One other thing, for quick access and for watching multiple spots at a time, you can add them to favorites with this little star icon at the top. And then for iOS users, you can even choose what parameter to display on the so-called windy bar, which is not a windy bar then. You can see on your right or your left, so you can see the different types of windy bars that you can see. You can see pressure, you can see temperature, you can see snow, you can see swell energy. So whatever you need, you can set up for your spots. And once again, if you see something that requires your attention on those favorites, you just click and it opens the spot. Okay, well, that was quick. I think those are quite basic features. If you have questions, of course, you can always ask our user support, like, how do I find it? How do I set it up? How do I delete it? You can ask us everything. But okay, so now I want to move on to the mid-level tools for severe weather. And I would use them when I already have a forecast in mind for tomorrow, let's say, or for today. But I want to make sure that the weather actually is what it was forecasted. I want to see what the real weather is right now. And this is when radars and weather stations are essential, because there is no other way you can tell the current rain and wind without radars and weather stations. So radars are sensors that scan the atmosphere every 6 minutes, and they show you clouds and precipitation in the about 100 kilometers, 200-kilometer radius. This is very widely used for aviation, because you can then clearly see where the thunderstorms are located, and so the airplane can still find a way to land bypassing all the thunderstorms. It's also very essential for tornado warnings, because tornadoes move very fast, and radars are the only instruments that can sense them so quickly. So in Windy.app, you can find it on the map. You probably have been looking at the little animation on the screen. It shows you that you can open this radar layer on the map. Then you're going to have, I think, 2 hours of history, and then you're going to have 90 minutes of forecast based on the radars that we produced. And you can play, and you can tap the play button and enjoy the movie to see what is moving your way. It's already operational on iOS, and it's coming soon on Android. I would say that as the season is coming close in the Northern Hemisphere, you might want to try it out and use it before you go out, because this is the information that will tell you this is the most accurate real-time rain data. Do you know how it works? Can you tell me in the chat, please? Okay. Do you know how the radars work? Because I have a little animation, but I wanted you to tell me, yes, please show it to me. I don't see the chat at the moment, but okay. Radar in general. Yes. Okay. Well, please show it. Yay. Okay, so this is how you can, this is how a radar looks like. Actually, it's like an antenna inside, but it has a special cover so that it doesn't get rusty or blown away. So it sends a signal, and then it bounces off droplets and snow particles and water vapor in the atmosphere. And then this echoes. It's called an echo. It reflects back into the radar, and then by the way the signal was transformed, by the way it changed, the radar can understand how far the cloud is and how big the droplets are. And this is just showing radar pulse in one direction, but it's actually turning like this. It's scanning the atmosphere constantly. Yep. So now the question for the merch. I just told you that radars can see precipitation, but I'm also telling you that they can help see strong winds. Can you think how that might be? How can this happen? Then I'm going to tell you the correct answer. We have a good answer. Yes, birds and bats. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for so many questions, so many answers. Sorry. My meteorologists, my fellow meteorologists are going to read it very carefully. But I will tell you how I think you can do that. So, on radar layers, you can see patterns. And when you see a pattern, you know that, for example, it's a thunderstorm, or it's a cold front, or it's a warm front. And from like other parts of meteorology, you know that strong winds or sometimes gusts or even squalls accompany thunderstorms, cold fronts, and warm fronts. So when you cannot see wind because it's transparent, but you can see clouds and they form a pattern, and then you know what to expect. So for thunderstorms, there's usually a significant wind, squalls, and gusts at the bottom of the cloud. Then for a cold front, it's usually a long, thin line of precipitation, and it's quite often thunderstorms. So it's also quite very strong wind, gusts, and of course rain, but we're talking about wind now. And when you see a cold front moving, you have to know that the wind direction changes also. So before the front, it's like this, and then it's like this. So wind direction change is also happening after the front. Then for the warm front, the wind will not be as crazy as for the cold front, but still, there is always a wind increase at the front, and it's usually many hours of drizzle or rain. This is how you know that a warm front is coming. So that's how it is also pictured on the radar image. Okay, I'm really glad. The sound is a bit low. Okay, that's not good. Let me see what I can do. Hey, is this better? I did something with the sound. Should be better now. Whew. Thank you, Ralph. Now, moving on. Weather stations. I think these are more sort of common for people to see in the real world, more common than the radars. I really like this source of information as well because it's the single most accurate real-time wind source of information. Do you know how a weather station looks like? Do you have an image in your head? Okay, really loud. Okay, I'm gonna make it less loud. Like this. Let's compromise. Okay. Yes, like a very small windmill. Exactly. Well, I have a picture, so I want to show you. So what you call a windmill is the anemometer. It measures wind, but also, so this is an automatic weather station. It works without a human. And then there are manual weather stations as well. So this one can definitely measure wind and rain and temperature. Those are at least, this is the least amount of parameters that it measures. Now, in Windy.app, we have more than 30,000 weather stations that report to us daily, and then they report at least once an hour, sometimes more frequently. And in the app, you can check up to 24 hours of history. And I would encourage you to find your nearest weather station or near the spot you are looking at. And we have four ways you can do that. From the main page, there's the nearest weather station tab. Then you can add a weather station to favorites, the same way you can do with the spot. You can find the windmill icon on the map, and then below, at the bottom of each spot's forecast, there will be 3 weather stations nearby. Why I think it's so important to look at them? Because you can see what is the trend for the wind. Is it rising? Is it dying down? Was the forecast like saying it was supposed to be 15 knots and in reality it's 2 knots? Then you might want to rethink your plan for the day. And speaking of which, we have a very, I think, handy feature. It's called the live wind. So instead of tapping on each windmill icon on the map, you can show them, you can see them all at once. You tap on the windmill icon and then you're going to see those bubbles. They represent weather stations and most current wind. So what would I do with it? On the morning of me going out, I already have a forecast in my head, but I want to see that it is actually going the way I'm hoping it is going. I would turn on the weather station mode and then I would switch between weather models and see which one fits this current wind that I'm seeing better. This is easy because it's the same color for weather stations and the same color for the forecast. And you can just see that, for example, this weather model is better is better at forecasting the wind today in your area than a different model. And then you just choose that one and use it for the day, because if it got the current forecast right, then there's a high chance it's going to get the rest of the day correct as well. Okay, we are moving on nicely. Advanced tools for severe weather. I will be talking about the compare chart. I think I have talked about them on other webinars. So if you don't get enough of it this time, you can check the other ones out. And also my colleagues asked me to tell you that you don't have to watch the whole webinar with the hellos and goodbyes. There's always a short version of the webinar in the description of each webinar. Now, about the compare chart. Perhaps some of you already use it in the app. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's when we place forecasts for wind from different weather models on one screen. Why we do that? Because in that way you can instantly see what's going on. For example, for today and tomorrow, you can see, so one thing is you can quickly see what's going on, but then you can also see how confident you can be in the forecast. Let me explain. If all the lines of all the weather models are giving a forecast, for example, of 2080 knots, like on my screen for today, right? For the first part of the screen. This means that it's very likely that the wind will be 18-20 knots. But then afterwards, the lines become a mess. They are quite far away from each other. Some give the forecast as low as 10 knots, others give 30 knots. And this means that probably there's a weather front coming, but the weather models are not sure when exactly it's coming. Or in other words, each model has its own opinion about when it's going to come. So by looking at this, you do not know, you cannot make a decision when exactly what exactly the weather is going to be. You just know that the minimum is 10 knots, the maximum is 30 knots, and that it can change a lot. So you have to make a decision based on that. You can choose a different spot, or you can wait for the weather forecast to update. This will not take more than 6 hours. So the picture should become clearer. As for the rain compare chart, this is how I use it. I decide, do I mind if there will be any rain? And if I say I do, then I look at the compare chart and I choose a time when no weather model is forecasting precipitation. That way I know that it's the chances of rain are very, very, very small. Yeah, and I wanted to mention, as a part of our news, that we have added our own weather model X3 to the compare chart, and now the HRRR model that is the most accurate for the US, it's now updated every hour. So these are the bit of news. Okay, now my favorite topic is weather map. I'm a map girl. I mean, I can look at the forecast at the spot, but I really believe in maps. Why? Because on the map you can see instantly where the weather is coming from. And even before looking at temperature, at wind, you can get a feeling of what's going to happen. For example, if you see that there's something coming to you from the north, in the northern hemisphere, you can probably guess that it's going to become colder and drier. And if you see something coming from the south, then it's probably warmer and then more humid. So without looking at any other maps, or any other forecasts, one glance at the wind map and then you know what's going to happen. And also you can see fronts. So why is it important to see a weather front? Because after the weather front, the weather changes a lot. The wind, there's always strong wind. It can be colder or hotter. It can be humid or less humid, and there will be rain. So these are the kind of events you want to look out for. A tip I have for you is about accumulated precipitation. This is the layer that I think doesn't get used enough. And it's basically when you sum up several, for example, you sum up all the precipitation for 24 hours or for 12 hours. Why is it important? Because when you're looking at the precipitation forecast, it's kind of hard to do the accumulation of precipitation in your head and know how much it's going to fall on your exact place. So, and it could be important because a lot of rain in one place can mean flooding, or it can mean a good thing. If you're looking for snow, it could mean that you will have some significant snow cover. But also, of course, depending on the soil, you can expect muddy or wet ground. So for example, if you are planning a hike, then you would want to see accumulated precipitation for, let's say, 3 days before you're going on a hike. That way you're going to know what kind of boots do you need, or maybe you need to choose a different place altogether. Okay, so I hope after this webinar, you guys are going to try accumulated precipitation. And we'd love to hear your feedback, as always. Okay. Now, another tip for the weather map, why I think it's very important to use it. So, weather forecasts are getting better at forecasting, but what they have trouble with is the position of local winds and local precipitation. What I mean is, if you look at those two examples on the screen, if you don't see rain or wind in the forecast, but you open the map and then you see that there's wind and precipitation somewhere close to you, then you should expect that it could happen on your spot also. Because the forecast can easily be off by, let's say, 10 kilometers, and that can make all the difference. So I would encourage you to always look at the map to see what's going on around you. Okay. Now, I have to mention, I would love to mention our own weather model that gives the detail of a regional model, but covers the global coastline and gives you a 10-day forecast. We have created it it's created by our R&D department, and it's powered by AI, and it gives really good results for the coastline. A new version is coming. The wind accuracy is even better. We have added gusts, and we have added the Great Lakes region that you asked for. Just to show you an example of what a regional model can do that a global model cannot do. If you see the two pictures for the GFS, the global model gives a very smooth picture. But then X3 can see how the wind is affected by the terrain, and you can see the shadows, the wind shadows downstream from islands and peninsulas, and then you can see some extra wind on a terrain on the island in the middle of the picture. Do you see that? I hope. Okay. Okay, if the X3 doesn't cover your area, please, and you wanted to, please let us know. So next time you're on the coast, and for example, you're planning whatever, you want to go from island to island, then X3 will be a great tool, because it can literally show you the difference between wind conditions between the two islands, or the two sides of the island. And you would know that, for example, tonight here will be a safe harbor and here will not be a safe harbor. So I would really encourage you to check it out. Now, so X3 is a regional model, but our own. But we also have many other regional models like Rome, NAM, HRRR, ICON D2, and UKV2. They have resolution between 1 and 3 kilometers, and they allow you to see some local phenomena. that you will not see otherwise. And you will not see it on the spot forecast either. I mean, not really. Here we have captured breeze. You can see that the wind is coming in from the water to the land and then back, and Arome is detailed enough and accurate enough to capture that. So if you need to, for your sport, if you need breezes and other local circulations, I would really encourage you to look at the regional models. Okay, so the second question. What is this local wind? You might want to see this video twice. I want to know the name of the wind in the chat. You can see that the live mode, the weather station mode, also supports the forecast, that the wind is indeed a very strong. Yay! We have our winners. Was this too easy? I hope not. Okay, so thank you very much. Now, bonus tips. Are you with me? I hope you're with me, because this is the time for the big reveal. So we have created a weather personal advisor service. Imagine this: you are planning a trip or a regatta or something, and you're not sure about the weather. I'm sure this happens a lot. And then you think, I wish I could talk to a meteorologist and share my concerns and get his or her perspective on what's going to happen. And now you can do that. What you sign up for the service, and then when you have a question, you just contact a meteorologist via WhatsApp. So it's very easy, no sophisticated technology involved. And you just say, hey, I'm going from Bahamas to, I don't know, to Florida tomorrow at noon, and I wonder what the swell is going to be, or do you expect any severe weather? Or you can say, I have a regatta. I need a forecast for every day of my regatta because I need to know the wind direction in degrees to be very smart about the way I move. So then the meteorologist analyzes all the weather information for your exact case. The maps and the radars, the weather stations, all those rocket science things. And then he or she will write to you, so, hey, I looked at your situation. It looks like it's going to be this, this, and this. It could be more detailed or less detailed depending on how you need it. And we've had many happy customers already. And I encourage you, if you feel like it's for you, then you can you can sign up for the service in the description of this video. Have you? We can do Signal Telegram, I think, but right now it works via WhatsApp because it's the most common messenger out there. How it's I'm really excited because I'm the head of this service and very excited to for you to try this service because we have so many different people coming in and asking about the drought forecast in Africa, or a regatta in Denmark, or a charter boat in Bahamas. So it's really a very interesting global community of people, and it would be cool if you join also. Now, the almost last bit. I hope you're still with me. So the Weather Archive. I'm a meteorologist and a climatologist, so I know that you can use the past data to have an understanding of what you can do, of what the weather is going to be like. So in Windy.app, we have a monthly mean winds. That way you can see, for example, winds typical for August or September when you have a vacation. And then you go, when you come up with a spot in mind, then you can go and see the detailed archive to see what kind of weather was there last year, the year before, and or on average for 12 years. An example of how I would look at it. For example, I want to go somewhere, but I don't understand the seasons of this place. I would look at this picture. I would choose all years and then all months, and then wind, and there's precipitation at the bottom. And I would clearly see that at first part of the year it's windy and rainy, then it's dry but not very windy, and then it's windy and very rainy. So it doesn't look like a great choice, but at least you have a choice. Now you know which month you can expect to be rainy, windy, and so on. Okay, so to make your life easier when you're planning long term, I have asked our meteorologist to create a PDF weather guide for May and June for each continent. We had divided into 4 parts. And there you can see what kind of weather events, or for example swell, you can find in which place in which months. You can find it in the description of the video. It's absolutely free, and you're very welcome to download it, print it in your kitesurfing school or whatever, and then share it with your friends. We'd love it if many more people see it. I think you might want to use it when you plan your summer vacation. Okay. So, congratulations, we're done with today's plan. Now this is time for your questions. If you're still there. Duck, dum, duck, dum. Okay. I want my questions. Are there any questions? Hey, I'm really glad you like it. Practice needs to happen. I agree. Huh. Is there a possibility to have more levels under 500 meters? Well, I don't know if you're an Android user or an iOS user. If you have Android, then we have something called a skew-t log p diagram. It shows vertical profile of wind, temperature, and humidity, if that's what you need, and it does have more detail below 400 meters. About I'm not sure what you said. It would be great that this to be an AI agent for a personal advisor. Well, that's what's great about it. It's not AI. It's real people, meteorologists, weathermen. Okay, I think it's all the time we have for today. If you have questions, you're very welcome to post them to this comment of this video. Please explore the description of the video. There are many links for you to check out. I encourage you to do this after the webinar. If you were right about the questions, you're very welcome to claim your merch at our user support email. Just email us and say, I won this merch, please send this here and here. Then if you want, you can subscribe to the Windy.app personal weather advisor service, or if you have questions about it, you can ask us first. Then I would encourage you to download the PDF guide to weather events in May and June. If you're not pro yet, then activate a 2-week free pro via the link in the description, and then ask your questions, leave your feedback. If you have a request for another webinar for a particular topic, please let me know. Otherwise, I thank you so much for watching, for being with me, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.